this be one of the best moments of your life. You're listening to the Business Mirror Podcast for a broader look on business with Senior Editor Dennis Estopace.
Good day, I'm Dennis Estopace, and welcome to Wednesdays with John Mangun, a podcast to be anchored by John Mangun, a columnist for the Business Mirror newspaper and who operates a website titled mangunonmarkets.com. Mr. Mangun will share with us one of the many pieces he wrote for his column titled Outside the Box, which is published every Tuesday and Thursday in the op-ed section of the Business Mirror. We hope you enjoy your Wednesday with John Mangun.
The last 12 months has proven one thing conclusively. If hostile aliens from space ever invade Earth, it will be like the movie Mars Attack, and not Independence Day. The fate of the world will depend on an elderly grandmother playing a 1920s Broadway musical song rather than a globally coordinated strategy and effort. I suggest that you repeat after me. I am responsible for my personal health and safety, the health and safety of my family, and the health and safety of my nation. Government wants as much control as possible over our lives because control equals power. The best way to achieve that objective of control is to make people dependent on government. Daniel Patrick Moynihan was an American politician, sociologist, and diplomat. In 1965, he made a comprehensive study on the Black American family, and Moynihan highlighted the risk factor of black children growing up in households headed by unmarried mothers. At that time, roughly 25% of black children lived in families headed by an unmarried mother. Moynihan was called a racist for his data, although no one actually refuted his statistics. By 1992, that percentage had reversed, with only 25% of black children living in traditional nuclear families with both a mother and a father. From 25% of black children living with only their mother in 1965, now 65% of all black children live with a single mother. There's no question that a child raised in a single-parent household, regardless of race or wealth, suffers some disadvantages. And 25% of all, not just black, American children are in this situation. But the greater concern is that 72% of all single-parent households receive continuous government financial assistance. Now, there's a tremendous difference between people receiving help from the government and people being dependent on the government for their very existence. If you need the government to feed you, to shelter you, to protect you at all times, you have a critical interest in the government maintaining and even increasing control over your life. COVID is becoming the ultimate government control weapon. Life is not risk-free, and sometimes we're all foolish. We need government control, like traffic lights and food and drug regulation. But can it go too far? April 17, 2021, quote, "The U.S. state of Oregon is floating an idea to require masks and social distancing indefinitely. One of the state's top health officials wants to require mask and social distancing in all businesses indefinitely," unquote. The Czech government just issued the rules for when shops and services can reopen, applicable from, quote, "the current fourth stage, the worst, to the first stage, when there's very few cases and pretty much no deaths." When shops and services reopen in the first stage, people, quote, "people will need a negative test to enter establishments such as hairdressers, hotels, and other tourist places, restaurants, and bars. Staff will also have to be tested every few days with test requirements only to be dropped in stage 1, the least riskiest stage of the pandemic. Now, interesting, the Czech rules do not at all include any stage when all restrictions will be dropped. April 15th, 2021. Quote, Dr. Anthony Fauci, America's top COVID advisor, says Australia cannot rely on vaccines and border controls to protect its population. Even though most of the rest of the world is vaccinated, says Dr. Fauci, it can still threaten the countries that have felt they have controlled the virus and when they're still quite vulnerable, unquote. Fauci continues with this chilling statement, quote, if you want to maintain control, you want to have control throughout the entire world, unquote. The global daily case number is at a historic high. This is dismissed by comments like it's just India or Brazil or the USA. You may want to read Fauci's last statement.
Thank you for listening to the Business Mirror podcast. For a broader look on business, follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Business Mirror. Until next time.